In today's episode, discover how, in 1944, the French resistance carried out a daring act of sabotage on the railway tracks. Learn about the fate of the resistance prisoners who paid a high price for freedom, and understand how, in the heart of Vassieux-en-Vercors, a memorial holds stories of courage and sacrifices that shaped the course of history. We are Historical Archives. Join us on a journey through time, subscribe, and like to stay updated. France was occupied by the Nazis in 1940, during World War II. In 1942, amidst Nazi occupation, French resistance groups formed on Corsica. Comprising ordinary citizens like teachers and farmers, they used improvised gear and weapons to fight against the Germans. Operating covertly, they conducted sabotage and gathered intelligence, crucially supporting Allied efforts and disrupting enemy operations. This particular photograph depicts a small group of resistance fighters working on sabotaging railway tracks. Actions like these were crucial in weakening the control of the occupation across France. In another mission to derail a train, French resistance fighters carried out a daring operation. They targeted railway tracks to disrupt German operations. Although discovery could have meant immediate execution, the mission caused significant logistical disruption for the enemy and showcased the determination of the resistors in confronting the occupation. Here we see one of those successful attempts. In 1942, the French resistance successfully derailed a German supply train near a strategic location. This act of sabotage disrupted critical supply lines, supporting German military efforts in occupied France. The photograph captures the aftermath: twisted metal and derailed carriages, a testament to the precise planning and execution required for such operations. This incident was a significant blow to German logistics and boosted the morale of the French resistance and the local populace. Amidst the rugged terrain of the forested town of Huilgot in northwestern France, a group of indomitable spirits, members of the French resistance, stood resolute. The photograph we view captures a poignant moment of camaraderie. This image from Huilgot does more than document a group of people. It tells a story of defiance, serving as a reminder that courage often resides in the hearts of ordinary individuals who choose to make extraordinary sacrifices. In the heart of France, amidst tranquil rural landscapes, a silent war was waged by the Maquis, a determined faction of the French resistance. Comprised of ordinary citizens turned guerrilla fighters, their secret operations and transient encampments in dense forests highlight their rugged existence. The Maquis were not merely surviving. They were actively engaged in a strategic effort to weaken the German forces. With each act of sabotage, every train derailed, and each disrupted German supply line, they slowly but decisively eroded the enemy's ability to respond effectively to the Allies' movements. It was a war of attrition. In the quiet town of Wimille in September 1944, a significant moment was captured, encapsulating the spirit and tenacity of the French resistance during war. In this image, we see a group of Maquis, poised and determined. Their clothing is a mix of civilian attire and military pieces, improvised yet practical, embodying the resourcefulness needed in such desperate times. As previously noted, the Maquisards played a crucial role in disrupting German operations. In this photograph, members of the Maquis lie in ambush on the rugged terrain of Corsica. Concealed among dense foliage, they await their targets. The Corsican landscape, with its dense forests and rugged mountains, provided crucial cover and strategic advantages for guerrilla warfare. This scene reflects the broader struggle of the French resistance against Nazi occupation. This photograph captures a group of Maquis fighters in a typical setting for their operations, all united by a common cause: freedom. Armed primarily with salvaged weapons and homemade explosives, these fighters relied not only on their limited supplies, but also on their knowledge of the local terrain and the support of sympathetic villagers. In this photograph, we see 18-year-old Nicole Minet, a young French resistance fighter who became a symbol of audacity and resilience. With determination in her eyes, Nicole accomplished an extraordinary act during the fall of Chartres. Alone, she captured 25 Nazi soldiers, making a profound statement of resistance beyond a mere military victory. In battle-scarred Paris, a photograph captures the determination and courage of those fighting for the city's freedom during the liberation of Paris. Amidst the chaos, a group of French street fighters, likely resistance members, press against a weathered building facade. Among them is the courageous Nicole Minet. The scene highlights the palpable tension and danger of those critical days. This image captures the unwavering bravery of French resistance fighters in the Eure-et-Loir region. A profound moment of defiance is depicted as they march down a cobblestone street, gripping their weapons with resolve. These ordinary citizens, farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, turned valiant warriors, represent a larger fight for freedom and justice across occupied Europe. Here stands an armed member of the French resistance, a symbol of local defiance against oppressive occupation forces. Beside him, a group of children contrasts the innocence of youth with the harsh realities of war. This resistance fighter, with weapon in hand, embodies the protective spirit of a nation fighting for the future of these young lives. In this photo, members of the French resistance are hidden behind tree trunks in a city scarred by war, their gazes sharp and intensely focused on the surrounding buildings. They are diligently tracking the positions of the last remaining German soldiers and snipers, threats to their mission and lives. Now let's turn to the summer of 1944. As the tides of war and power wavered in a precarious ballet, there was an unmistakable surge of hope and determination in the French countryside. Here, captured in a photograph, we see yet another group of these ordinary civilians transformed into symbols of extraordinary courage. Men and women side by side, each step a unified testament to their unwavering resolve. In specific instances, French women accused of collaborating with German forces found themselves at the center of public retaliation. The accusations often stemmed from relationships these women had with German soldiers, which to many in the community symbolized betrayal. In the small town of Bourg-Blanc, under a gray and brooding sky, a chilling scene of retribution unfolded. A woman sat vulnerably in the center of a hostile crowd as a barber, turned agent of public judgment, shaved her head. Each stroke of the razor symbolically branded her as a collaborator. Surrounding her were armed members of the French resistance, protectors of both the town and its moral order. The head shaving was not just punishment, but a ritual of shame, externalizing her alleged betrayals and reflecting the harsh justice meted out after years of Nazi occupation. In Paris, on June 21, 1944, another poignant moment occurred. Women accused of collaborating with the Nazi regime were marched through the city streets. This public shaming was a powerful display of resistance and reclamation of dignity by the local populace. In the heart of a city celebrated for its ideals of liberty and equality, these events unfolded with sharp irony, reflecting the complex social dynamics at the war's end. Amidst the clutches of occupation, a rare photograph captures a poignant moment in the French resistance. Set against a backdrop of barbed wire, it shows a resistance member, a civilian, and a uniformed French soldier united in their fight against oppressive enemy forces. The photograph highlights the collaboration across different strata of French society during extreme peril. This trio, from diverse backgrounds, is bound by a common goal: liberation from oppression. The image underscores the essential unity of the resistance movement, demonstrating how bravery and cooperation were crucial in shaping the course of the war in occupied France. This photograph speaks volumes about a time when unity and shared objectives shaped the fate of a nation struggling against Nazi occupation. In the wake of D-Day, an iconic moment was captured, revealing the powerful interaction between French resistance fighters and American soldiers. The efforts of the French resistance were often shrouded in secrecy, with their lives constantly at risk. The American soldiers, fresh from the Normandy landings, brought with them the might of the Allied military forces, but found in the resistance an invaluable ally, knowledgeable about the terrain and the workings of the occupier. This exchange between the seasoned guerrilla fighters and the Allied soldiers highlights a crucial turning point in World War II. In this photo, we see an American soldier and a French resistance fighter side by side. This scene encapsulates a moment of unity, where soldiers from different backgrounds came together with a common purpose: the liberation of France from the clutches of Nazi occupation. It was in these urban settings where the resistance, often composed of ordinary citizens turned warriors, proved crucial in destabilizing German operations and paving the way for Allied advances. Reports suggest that this particular image may have been staged to boost morale and garner support. The idea of staging does not diminish the bravery or importance of the resistance. Rather, it highlights the powerful role of imagery and propaganda during wartime. Photographs like this were created to inspire and unite, to uplift the spirits of those fighting and those enduring the hardships of war at home. This image captures the essence of the resistance: a group of fighters, ordinary citizens in extraordinary times, positioned at a makeshift barricade, their faces marked by determination and resolve. These were critical days in August 1944. The city of Paris, under the shadow of Nazi occupation, was buzzing with the desire for freedom as Allied forces advanced. The local Parisians were not just spectators waiting for liberation, they were active participants in reclaiming their city. On August 18th, just days before the city would be liberated, the resistance began erecting barricades. Between August 18th and 25, approximately 1,500 lives were lost, civilians and resistance members alike. In the midst of World War II, a profound assertion of resistance emerged from the beleaguered streets of Paris, manifesting not only in acts of valor, but in powerful symbols that adorned the very walls of the city. Among these symbols, a particularly striking poster captured the hearts and minds of the oppressed. This poster was not merely a piece of paper. It was a resounding call to resist, to fight, and to aspire towards freedom. Promoting the national liberation movement, this poster became a visual cornerstone of resilience. The artwork suggested that the shadows cast by tyranny would eventually be dispelled by the light of freedom. This image, captured in July 1944, carries a deep story of courage and resistance. The photo shows a group of French resistance prisoners, likely moments before facing grim fates. These resistors, ordinary men and women, took extraordinary risks. The freedom we often take for granted was achieved at a steep price. This photograph captures the grim reality faced by countless brave souls. Taken around 1944, the image shows a group of French resistance fighters moments after their capture by German forces. These men, ordinary citizens thrust into the covert world of espionage and sabotage, represent a narrative often overlooked in the grand tales of war and heroism. It's important to remember that the French resistance, a diverse and multifaceted movement, was made up of men and women, young and old, from various backgrounds, all united by the common goal of thwarting the occupation of their country. This specific group of fighters, as shown in the photograph, had just been apprehended. The expressions on their faces reflect the somber acceptance of their fate, fully aware of the dire consequences that awaited them. Capture often meant torture, imprisonment, or even execution. In this other photo from the summer of 1944, a poignant scene unfolds on the streets of Paris, marking a significant turn in a chronicle of occupation and resistance. Soldiers of the French Forces of the Interior, commonly known as the FFI, are seen escorting a group of captured German soldiers. It is August 24th, one day before the city is officially liberated from Nazi control during World War II. The FFI, composed of resistance fighters, played a vital role in the liberation of Paris, collaborating with the advancing Allied forces to reclaim their city. In the golden light of a late summer's day in 1944, Paris, the city of light, began to breathe again after years under the oppressive shadow of occupation. It is a moment forever captured in the annals of history and vividly enshrined in a photograph that speaks volumes about joy and relief. We see the Champaubert, a French tank, rolling majestically into the city square near the venerable Hôtel de Ville. This iron giant was one of the first tanks to punctuate the skyline of a liberated Paris, symbolizing the return of French strength and sovereignty. The photograph captures a poignant interaction. A member of the Liberation Army, likely weary but exhilarated, extends a hand to a French resistance fighter. While bullets and bombs dominated the battlefield, another crucial battle was fought through journalism. In France, amidst Nazi oppression, brave journalists played a significant role. The photograph shows Agence France-Presse journalists celebrating after the liberation of Paris in August 1944. These reporters risked their lives to deliver accurate news and counter Nazi propaganda, continuing their resistance against the Vichy regime. Their courageous efforts were essential in maintaining hope and truth for the French people during a dark time. As World War II ravaged Europe, many cities fell under the shadow of occupation. Paris, the city of light, was no exception. Yet despite the adversity, the spirit of resistance among the Parisians never waned. Their resolve was exemplified in the striking and inspiring image of French resistance members atop the crumbling barricades of Paris, their arms raised not in surrender, but in jubilant welcome. The photograph captures a moment of palpable relief and unexpected joy amid the chaos of liberation. These resistance fighters, ordinary men and women who risked everything to fight against tyranny, are seen celebrating as American troops finally arrive in Paris. This was the moment they had been waiting for. This was the moment they had fought so valiantly to see. The arrival of the Allies marked not only a military turning point, but also a profound emotional release for the Parisians. In the final days of August 1944, a poignant scene unfolds in a liberated French town. Members of the French resistance engage in a small but symbolic act. They approach the massive forms of Sherman tanks, vehicles that had become symbols of liberation, with their metal bodies marked by the scars of war. The resistance fighters, chalk in hand, begin to write. The words they inscribe are not merely messages, but manifestos of regained freedom, embodying the spirit that sustained them through dark times. Accompanying these brave civilians are soldiers of the 2nd Irish Guards, part of the advancing Allied forces. The Irish Guards, known for their roles in significant wartime campaigns, share here a quieter, yet equally vital moment of solidarity with the French people. And now, a photograph from 2007. You might wonder, weren't we talking about World War II? Well, in the heart of Vassieux-en-Vercors, France, a poignant memorial stands as a silent tribute to the courage and sacrifice of those who opposed the terrible tide of tyranny during that war. As we observe this memorial, we are reminded of the indomitable spirit of the French resistance fighters, men and women who dared to confront occupation and oppression. As we have seen, these resistors were not professional soldiers. They were ordinary citizens, driven by a profound sense of duty and love for freedom. They gathered intelligence, facilitated escapes, and engaged in guerrilla warfare, significantly disrupting enemy plans at great personal risk. The stakes were unimaginably high, and the price of resistance was often paid with their lives, as we see here. And that concludes our journey through history for this episode. But you can keep discovering the stories that shaped our world with historical archives. There's always more to uncover.